welcome back to Support Women DJs, the podcast. I'm Rach Brosman, and we are here today with Gina Turner.
Hi.
And we are at Bash House here in Brooklyn, New York City, and it is the first ever social impact club. So welcome to the crib. Today, I'm so lucky to have Gina here because Gina is an industry vet and the ultimate multi-hyphenate, some would say. She is the mother of two beautiful daughters, as well as the mother of many multifaceted passion projects. She was raised in New York and is a yoga teaching, internationally touring, multi-label releasing DJ, producer, radio host, and label boss. She is also the co-founder of The Divine Movement and caretaker of the Third Thing Network. Gina has seamlessly fused her two passions of music and yoga together, leading massive yoga and meditation immersions around the globe at festivals, retreats, and studios with her wellness brand, The Divine Movement. So that was a lot. We have so much to talk about.
We do.
But we're going to start off with a little this or that.
Okay.
Do you enjoy collaborating with other artists or going solo on your creative projects?
I love collabing with other artists. For me, I can totally get lost in my own sauce a lot, and I get in my own way. I was literally right before this podcast, I was creating some visual art, and I sent it to like 3 other people, and I'm like, I hate this. And everybody loved it, but like, for me, I'm my worst critic.
Yeah.
And that actually hinders me from getting a lot of the things that I make out there. Like, no joke. So I'm kind of jumping in another story.
Jump in.
But when I first was like coming out of my maternity leave for my second kid, I made a commitment that I was like, all right, listen, I'm going to release like a track a month. And what the crazy thing was, I had so many tracks on ice that I just, wasn't releasing. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. And a lot of the tracks that came out were things that I've been sitting on. So to that
because
point,
you thought they weren't good enough?
To that point, I get in my own way.
Yeah.
But when I'm working with someone else, like it's totally different. Like, I love the collabs that I'm making and that I've made, because it kind of forces you to like grow in a really beautiful way, but then also like there's a co-creative process where you're able to like bounce ideas back and forth, and you get someone else's like energy on it.
Their creative juices.
That's what I was gonna say. I literally stopped myself from saying juice.
It's okay.
Perfect.
Juice. Okay, so collabing is your preferred method. And okay, this is a weird one. Would you rather have an invisible DJ deck or a secret weapon that guarantees the crowd goes wild?
Oh, invisible DJ deck.
That'd be kind of cool.
Because I feel like at heart, I'm like a radio chick. So like the crowd going wild isn't like the highest priority for me.
Okay.
I'd rather take people on like a journey.
Yeah.
So like, and why I talked about the radio thing is like, when I first started DJing, I didn't see my audience, so it didn't really matter to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
So definitely an invisible DJ deck.
Okay. And would you rather play for a massive festival crowd or a cozy club setting?
Oh, that's so hard.
You like them both.
I love them both. Okay, fine. Like gun to head.
Yes.
See, I feel like I'm a Leo.
Same.
So like,
yes.
My heart is saying festival because like, it's like, look at me, like I want to be the center of attention, but I feel like I could achieve that in the same exact way in like a cozy like club setting where I'm playing like open to close. Like yes. Yeah. That, and I feel like that's more like authentic, and I feel like I'm more connected with people, but like on paper it would be festival, but like not really.
Yeah.
Like I used to play like, I used to play like the after hours shift, like 3 a.m. to 7 a.m. at Pasha, like back in the day. And that was my jam. It was like the graveyard shift, and I loved it. And like half the time people didn't even know who was playing, it's like totally
in New York.
In
You're
New York,
talking, right?
yeah, in New York. Yeah. And so it was just like, that's kind of also my vibe, big time. Yeah. And I'm kind of known for like that kind of vibe. That's a really hard question.
Okay, another slightly weird question. Would you rather unleash a glitter bomb on the crowd or shower them with confetti?
I feel like glitter bomb because I feel like you glitter, like, oh, my toes. I'm not going to show my toes. But I always get sparkles on my toes because I feel like you should sparkle your way through life.
Oh, I love that. Last this or that question. Do you like to keep the party going all night, or do you like an after party nap or pass out?
Oh my gosh. So I am a big napper. Yeah. I love napping. But I definitely, I get down with the after party going. Yeah. Like, but I'm just laughing because literally one of the last times I played in Philly, like after my club night, we had this awesome renegade like rave thing at like a skate park. Yes. But our sets didn't, it was me and my friend Crispy, and my set didn't start until like some ungodly hour. And I was just like so grumpy yelling at the boys. I'm like, you need to find me a couch to nap on at this after party so I can literally perform, or I'm not having it. It's not
yes. Naps are necessary. Yeah. Also a big fan.
Short answer, nap.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so you have been in the industry for a while now. A lot has changed over the years, I'm guessing. Can you tell us a little bit about just like what it's like now in the scene versus when you started and just over the years?
Great question, and something I think about all the time. So when I first started to kind of, I don't like to use the word like blow up, but when my career started to take off, yeah. That's better. There wasn't this social media element, right? So like you were just a DJ, you were the tastemaker, people like your track, like gaining notoriety on Beatport was like, actually it still is a big deal, but like it was like the biggest deal, you know what I mean? It was like the DJs were like calling the shots. And this is before like, people were paying for placement and all that kind of stuff. So it was more, now there's just like this social media element, which I love and hate at the same time.
I feel you on that. Yeah.
I love because it's a way for me to express myself because again, I'm talking about my astrology and I am a Leo. So like, it's like, cool, I'll record the video. I'll record the selfie video, like blah, 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 blah. But like, I didn't have to do that when I first came up as a DJ. And that was really a beautiful thing. And I felt like, when people discovered you, I don't know, it felt more sacred. Like, oh my gosh, I just found this DJ at this club. Like, again, like what I was just saying about Pasha, like half of the time people didn't know that was me playing, but they didn't care. They just showed up because they knew the club was good.
Yeah, right.
And so that's the part that I kind of miss a lot. And I feel like certain people in New York are really preserving that. Like Ellie Escobar's Gabriella, like
yes,
totally still exists there. Shout out to Ellie.
Tiki Disco, love.
Yes, yeah, Tiki Disco,
iconic,
fantastic.
Yes.
So yeah, that still exists, but the hashtag content world.
That's the biggest thing that's changed.
That for me at least. Everything else. Also like, that's all I'm gonna. That's all.
Okay.
Period.
What about in terms of genres?
Oh,
I'm curious about that.
I always have never like limited myself to one genre, which is also reflective in who I am as a human being. Like you were saying, I'm like this multi-hyphenate. Yeah. But it's true. I'm like a yoga teacher. I do this, I do that. Like, there's all these facets of me. And I feel like, I don't know, I've never been limited by a genre. Yeah. Which is interesting because until really this year, or 2 years ago, that's when I first started to dabble in producing music that was outside of like house music and tech house. Okay. And so now I'm really starting to like experiment with bass music.
Yeah, because you're becoming known for drum and bass a lot.
Yeah, and so I've always...
I'm a DMV girly.
I've always played drum and bass, but I've never made it.
Okay.
So like I've been playing drum and bass in my sets. I've been playing like specific drum and bass sets like at festivals or, you know, when I'm playing back to back with Amiha, like we tend to do that.
Yeah.
But I never made it until, you know, the last couple of years.
Okay.
So that's a really exciting journey for me.
Yeah.
And I feel like I've found my pocket with it. That doesn't mean I'm going to stop making techno and house and like
you can do it all.
Or whatever the fuck I want. Can I curse?
Yeah.
Okay. But it's really nice to kind of find a new groove as I'm venturing into this new chapter of my life.
Yeah.
You know?
And did you start DJing and then get into producing?
Yes.
Okay.
So I went to school for audio production and radio broadcasting.
Okay.
And I always wanted to be on the radio. I moved to LA fresh out of graduating college, and I like worked for Clear Channel, and it was awesome. But you know, I was always collecting this vinyl. Not to necessarily play out in clubs, you know, I always wanted to be in the radio world. But what was funny was like me being thrust into like a Clear Channel radio station actually made me kind of become like a little spoiled brat. Like, I don't want people to like tell me what to play.
Okay.
And that's what catapulted me into DJing in clubs.
Gotcha. So radio to DJing. To producing.
Radio to DJing, producing, and then eventually, once I started becoming known more as a DJ and a producer, then I got radio shows. So it was like a full circle moment. And I was like, see, Mom and Dad? Like, you didn't waste your money on my college education. I'm doing radio.
Yeah.
And
Very cool.
Yes. So, but production, it's interesting because I went to school for audio production. So, like, I definitely dabbled, but that was never my goal. Like, I wanted to produce radio. Like, I still produce radio, but like...
what are you doing now in radio?
So, the Third Thing Network is my partner's podcast network. So, I make all the podcasts there. I also work for a nonprofit, and I do, like, the audio production for them.
Oh, my God.
So, it's like, there's all these things.
So many things. Yeah. And then you're teaching yoga as well, which I love. I'm a yogi too. Cool. So you've been combining your love of yoga and music. And I just think that's so beautiful. How has that been going? You've been traveling with it and doing festivals? Is that right?
So, I mean, I also am a hometown girl, and I teach yoga like in Nyack and Piermont, which are the two like towns in the Hudson Valley that I live near. But yeah, like what was crazy was I always did yoga to like kind of supplement my life. So I was a dance minor in college, so I would do yoga to like stretch out, you know. I would do yoga just to, you know, it was never like a thing for me, right? I was always to like help my dance career or help my whatever it was. And then in 2012, I got into a really traumatic pool accident. I dove into a pool and I hit my head at the bottom of the pool. And it was nuts because like everyone was like, you should be more injured than you actually are. I was definitely in a neck brace. I was all that kind of stuff. Wow. But all the doctors were like, you were just doing like a headstand right before you dove into the pool. So your muscles were like flexible and like protected and like, you know, you just had
You did a handstand into the pool?
Headstand.
Headstand?
Right before I jumped into the pool.
Oh my God.
So I literally like was finishing a yoga practice.
Yeah.
And then I dove into the pool, hit my head at the bottom of the pool. Anyway, this is all to say, I was like, oh my God, yoga saved my life. I want to become a yoga instructor. So I became a yoga instructor, and then the first class I taught was for 75 people on Holy Ship. And I was like, okay, universe, like, this is what you should be doing. Like, people showed up. I mean, I was
Were you playing
DJ.
You were playing the festival?
I was DJing the festival, and then I'm like, hey, let me teach a yoga class. And then, like, everybody came out of the woodwork to take my yoga class. So that happened very organically, right? I was like, okay, literally, I wanted to get my certification in yoga so I could share this practice because it really saved my life. And then it was like a little cosmic wink, like when people were actually showing up to a yoga class after partying all night. I'm like, wait, there's people like me too?
That is me. Every time I come home after a rave, I am downward dogging on the floor. It's the best.
So that kind of like grew on its own, where like promoters would book me like in a club, and then like before doors I'd teach yoga or lead a meditation.
It became a thing that you became known for.
It became a thing. And then the next thing I knew, like festivals were like booking me and paying me extra to teach yoga. And I'm like, should I do this for free? But this is great. So it just happened. So yeah, that's been really amazing. And we've done like installations of like gifting suites at Coachella, like where it's like people are like, oh, here's a free yoga class. You know, it takes many shapes, where it's like a festival, a nightclub, to like an actual retreat, which has been really cool.
And tell me a little bit more about just festivals that you've played. Like, I think for so many DJs, that's such a big goal, is playing on a festival stage. Is it as amazing as everyone thinks?
I mean, this is actually a really good story for this podcast. So I have two lovely daughters, and my first daughter was born in 2014. When I was pregnant with her, I got so, I'm going to answer your question. It's a long way to answer it. I got so nervous that I wasn't going to DJ again, that I made so much music while I was pregnant with Evelina, my first, that once I had her, like I was booked and busy because I was putting so much out while I was pregnant. And that being said, that took me to, I like, no joke, my daughter was like 6 months old and I was like DJing. I brought her with me. Shout out to my mom for babysitting. I brought her with me to like Ultra in Japan, and like I played EDC New York, like it was just like super wild. I've played other festivals too, but that was just a really big deal for me. And to do it after I had a baby was even crazier, because I had this thing in my head, like once I become a mom, I'm not going to DJ anymore. I'm not going to.
Why?
Our society.
Okay.
Like, you know, I feel like...
You felt like you wouldn't be accepted?
I felt like I wasn't, because all of my attention would be on the babies.
Right.
So like, how could I possibly DJ? And then my whole world turned upside down when I was like, wait a minute. I can put my kid to bed, have her with childcare, obviously, go DJ in New York, and then come back, and she won't even know I was gone. Actually, being a DJ is a really great thing.
Moms can do everything.
But I want to answer your question. Some of my favorite festivals have been like these epic ones during that period. Because I guess mentally for me, again, I thought I wasn't going to be able to do it. I thought my career was done. And then it was like my mind was blown. It was like the total opposite. But yeah, festivals are awesome. Like the one thing I don't like about a festival is the set times are a lot shorter. And so like, I'm like, I want to take you on a 2-hour plus journey, and like you have to condense it. So that's the one thing I don't really love.
Festivals are one of the things that made me start Support Women DJs, of just seeing all the lineups, and that it's, you know, you're seeing all the dudes on the lineups. And I know that you have implemented an inclusivity rider. Can you talk about that and what that means? Because I think it's the coolest, most amazing thing, and people need to hear about it.
Shout out to you for bringing that up. So I actually shout out to, it was like, I think in 2021 or 2022, maybe 20, who cares what year it was. It was one of these years where I was like sitting at home and all the Miami lineups started to be released. And I was like, holy crap. Every lineup that I'm seeing, it's all dudes. All like straight, cis, white men. And I'm like, what is going on? I'm like, at this point, this is intentional if you're not including women. Do you know what I mean?
It feels like it,
I'm
right?
like, what the actual F? So I put in an inclusivity rider for not just women to be included, but for a member of the LGBTQ to be included in the lineup, and or I mean, all three would be great. You know, a person of color, anything. And so I was like, and I remember posting about it, and like, I got a lot of backlash, I gotta tell you. And I was like, you can unfollow me now. Like, you know what I mean? The people that have a problem with this, like people were like, oh, well, what about, you know, getting on a lineup because of talent? You're just giving people shot. I was like, okay, bye. Delete.
Bye.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
But yeah, so that was really important to me. And it was a response. It like awoke this activist inside of me. Because it was a response to seeing like so many lineups that were intentionally, you know, excluding people. So yeah.
And what has your experience been now that you have that? Have you had, you know, trouble? Have you had to decline offers?
You know, it's just like when an offer is submitted, that's in my contract. So like you must figure it out.
Yeah.
And the people that thank God I haven't had any backlash from promoters.
Okay.
And that I feel like is a great reflection of like the promoters and the festivals that want to book me.
Right.
You're like having like.
Because I could see a lot of promoters having, taking issue with that, with the contracts I've seen. Yeah.
So it's so funny. This is actually a really big deal for me. I was able to curate my first festival stage that's happening at Home Base, which is like the EDC Orlando after party.
I wanted to ask you about that because I'm going to EDC.
Well, you gotta come.
I know.
Okay.
You curated the stage.
Yeah, I curated the stage.
About that.
So when I curated this,
they
were like, hey, you know, the owner, Brian, shout out to Home Base, shout out to Dirty Bird Campin'. My daughter, Alma, was conceived at Dirty Bird Campin'. So, like, you don't understand, like, we fam. But he hit me up. He's like, hey, we would love for you to host a stage this year at Home Base. And it was like such a big deal. And then I was like, thinking to myself, I'm like, only if we could have female headliners and male openers and closers. And so that's exactly what I did. Because I feel like how many times you see
that.
You never see that.
Never.
You see male headliners and the token girl opener.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
In the very first slot.
And listen, the people opening and closing, the men that are opening and closing, amazing. They're allies. We love them. Like, I'm not throwing shade. I'm like, they could eat whatever. Like, you know, I wanted to just like flip the script for one stage on one day. Okay. Like, anyway, but yeah, so I'm super excited about that. And yeah, that kind of felt like in the same vein as my inclusivity rider. Like, you know, let's try something else, guys.
Yeah.
You know, and gals.
See how it goes.
Yeah, so I'm super excited. We have Unique from New Jersey, Jersey Club Queen.
Yes.
And we have Cosmalia and Orchid. You like drum and bass? Orchid.
Oh, okay, I don't know Orchid.
Orchid. Orchid does music. She's actually DJ Craze's daughter.
Okay.
But I ended up wanting her to play before me because I heard this incredible liquid drum and bass mix that she made, and I was like, I need her for this stage. So, and then I have my friend Ben Finks and Crispy, the two guys that are opening and closing.
Crispy.
Yeah, yes. we love them.
Yes.
So, but it was more about like giving that headlining spot to the girls. You know?
Yeah.
So.
Oh my goodness. And you also are working on a record label with the girlies, right?
Yes. So Never Be Alone it's technically Miha's label, but it's a community-driven record label where there's so much to talk about when it comes to Never Be Alone. It sounds
really interesting. Break it down.
So this was a label founded on rejected demos. It's like, send us the tracks that you're having trouble signing. We want to sign them.
Okay.
And then the entire group chat of artists that have already released on the label all vote on the label, on the demos that were submitted.
How big is this group chat?
There's 34 people in it right now.
Wow, and everyone is voting.
Everyone of the artists. And
Yes.
then there's also the public group chat that you can join that has like 1,000 people, which is just like, again, it's all about community. It's all about like, let's lift each other up. Let's like, send us the tracks that you love that don't have like the right sound for the labels, you know? And I really resonated with that. Like, and I was like, I want to be a part of this. Amber Miha has been a friend of mine for many years. And I don't know, I sent her 2 of my rejected demos right away. She's like, I love these, let's put them out. And then like the next thing I knew, like we were like, you know, finding festivals to have like stage takeovers and clubs to have like Never Be Alone stage takeovers. And again, run by predominantly 3 women, and then and then we have our group chat that decides.
Wow. Never be alone.
Never be alone.
On the come up. We're looking out for it.
NBA. My track NBA is out on Never Be Alone. It's my first like official drum and bass release, because I did like bootlegs that were like drum and bass bootlegs before that, but yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. I wanted to also ask you about your experiences with misogyny in the industry, because we know there's no shortage of it, unfortunately. Are there any stories you want to tell or things you can enlighten us about?
How much time do we have?
5 minutes.
So I was just telling you guys this before, but I feel like it's a good story. So I was fortunate to be the assistant manager of a record store in LA called Turntable Lab. It was amazing. Shout out, rest in peace, Blue Gems. Shout out all the people that worked there with us. Like amazing human beings. But I worked there with my friend Louisa, who I have a DJ duo with, called Staccato. But no joke, there would be at least like once a week when it was just the 2 of us working in that record store. Now, it wasn't just records. We were selling DJ gear, turntables, like anything that DJ related, production equipment, all those things. And like guys would come up to us and be like, is there anybody else working today that could like tell us about some of the gear? And it's like,
because you couldn't help.
yeah, because we couldn't help.
And you didn't know anything.
Louisa would be like, no, I can help you. My vagina did not eat my knowledge. That was like that's one little piece. But I feel like that's like a micro. I feel like it was like a microaggression,
but like also not.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Because, I mean, they're speaking to your face.
They're saying, is there anybody else that can tell me about this gear here? You know what I mean? Assuming that we don't know about it. Yeah. You know what I mean?
That's some things. I feel like there's other little things that show up.
Yeah.
Like that. I'm like holding back because I'm trying to be PC.
But there's certain things that happen where I stop myself and I'm like, this would never happen to a male DJ.
Right.
You know what I mean? This would never happen. Yeah. Like the way that like the over explanation. And listen, PSA, don't red out. Don't distort the sound. But like, I cannot tell you how many times the sound guy has been like,
okay, like, are you sure? Like, you just make sure you stay out of the red zone.
Yeah.
It's like, are you telling this to guys that too? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I don't know.
yeah, you just know.
Maybe that's just in my head.
It's definitely not.
Okay.
Yeah.
They wouldn't be saying that to a man, so.
Yeah, I just feel like that may...
Likely.
I mean...
Likely.
That being said, yeah.
Yeah.
There's just certain things that show up like that.
Right.
Where I'm like, you wouldn't be asking a dude about this.
Totally.
Yeah.
Well, we are running out of time. I want to ask you if you have any DJ hot takes, anything about the industry, anything about genres, unpopular opinions.
Wow. That's a really hard one. Hot takes.
Yeah.
I tend to be like pretty like nice and like, you know, like I'll get along with everybody. Okay, I got one. It's not really a hot take. Okay. I just feel like producers. So like if you're making a track, make sure it works. Like things like not like changing the tempo, like, you know what I mean? Like, so it makes it harder for someone to mix. Like making sure there's a lot of intro beats and outro beats. Like, I just feel like this is a PSA for producers. Make sure that your tracks are like DJ friendly, because you're making them for DJs. I don't know if that's a good hot take. See, I feel like I could have said more.
Producers, listen up. That was your PSA.
Like, a tempo change is diabolical unless it's like totally like a specific thing. Like, I have certain tracks where I like break down into a hip hop track in the middle of a house track, but it's like, you know, that's coming. You know that you could like plan for it and mix in and mix out. Anyway.
Yeah. And what is coming up for you? What should people look out for right now?
Well, I just released so much music. Like, so after because that's also a response. Because my first pregnancy, I was so obsessed with like putting stuff out because I was nervous. My second pregnancy with my daughter Alma, I really wanted to kind of just enjoy being pregnant and enjoy like nursing my baby, you know, and like just slow down a little bit. But then when I realized how much time I actually took off, I got a little nervous and I was like, okay, I'm going to release a track a month. So I've been really kind of on the heels of that. That's where you're finding me right now. I've really released a lot of music. Definitely what's next for me is more drum and bass. Check out all the things that neverbealone.mp3 has going on that site, because and submit your demos. I have a collaboration with Benga, who is like a bass music icon. I don't know when that's going to come out. I teased it on my Never Be Alone mix. Yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of things going on.
Always a lot.
Just follow me on Instagram. That's where I'm most active.
What's your handle? Where can the people follow you?
DJ Gina Turner on Instagram. TikTok, I like barely use, but you can follow me there too. Yeah. But I'll always respond to a DM. I'll always like respond to a comment. I'm like, no chill.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I'm really accessible.
Thank you for coming on the podcast. It's so great to have you here. And that is all for our time today. Bye.